Dao De Jing, pronounced Dao De Jing Chapter 4. This passage asks what it means to be useful without being full, present without being seen. The original text, read in classical Chinese. Dao Chang Er Yang Jai Huo Bu Ying, Yuan Zai Sai wànwù Jai Zōng, Kuo Kai Rui, Jai Kai Fen, Hei Kai Guāng, Tóng Kai Xing, Zhàn Zai Sai Huo Kun, Wu Bu Jai Shuí Jai Zai, Xiàng Dai Jai Zhàn. In English, the Tao is empty, yet in use it is never used up. Deep, still. It seems to be the root of all things. It blunts what is sharp, it unties what is knotted, it softens what glares, it mingles with the dust. Clear and still, it seems barely to exist. I do not know whose child it is. It seems to have come before any lord. The passage opens with a paradox. The Tao is empty, chōng, hollow like a vessel, and yet it never runs out. The more you use it, the more remains. This is not mysticism. Think of space inside a bowl. The bowl is useful precisely because it is not filled. If it were solid clay all the way through, it would hold nothing. Emptiness is not absence, it is capacity. The Tao, Laozi says, works the same way. It has no content that can be depleted. Then comes the line, Yuan Zai Sai wànwù Jai Zōng, deep and still, like the ancestor of all things. Yuan means a deep pool, the kind whose bottom you cannot see. Zōng means ancestor, source, origin. Laozi is pointing at something prior to all the named and distinguishable things in the world, not a thing among things, but whatever makes things possible at all. He then gives 4 parallel actions, each beginning with a verb. Kuo Kai Rui, it blunts the sharp. Jai Kai Fen, it unties the tangled. Hei Kai Guāng, it softens the bright. Tóng Kai Xing, it mingles with the dust. These lines appear again in chapter 56, almost word for word. That repetition signals something Laozi considered central. What is he describing? Not violence or suppression. The sharp thing is not broken. It is blunted, brought into proportion. The knot is not cut. It is untied, patiently resolved. The glaring light is not extinguished. Its harshness softens, and the dust, the ordinary, the low, the overlooked, the Tao does not rise above it. It mingles with it. Each pair holds the same logic. The extreme is tempered, not destroyed. The Tao does not assert itself against things. It moves through them in a way that reduces friction, eases what is stuck, lets nothing become absolute. Consider a person who enters a tense room not by dominating it but by somehow making the tension available to dissolve. They are not passive, they are doing something, but what they are doing is almost impossible to point at. The sharp edges of the argument seem to lose their urgency. The knot of competing positions begins to loosen. That quality, whatever it is what Laozi is gesturing toward. Then the text pulls back into stillness. Zhàn Zai Sai Huo Kun, clear and still, it seems barely to exist. After all that action, blunting, untying, softening, mingling, it nearly vanishes, not because it did nothing, but because it left no trace of itself. The passage ends with a question that refuses an answer. I do not know whose child it is. It seems to have come before any lord. In the cosmology of Laozi's time, a lord, Dai, was the highest authority, divine or royal. The Tao precedes even that, not by outranking it, but by being prior to rank altogether. It is not the top of a hierarchy. It is before the hierarchy existed. What might this chapter offer someone reading it today? There is a mode of engaging with the world that is always adding, always asserting, always making sure something of yours remains visible in the outcome. Laozi is pointing at a different mode, one that accomplishes without accumulating, that softens without softening itself, that mingles with the dust without becoming dirty. This is not advice to be ineffective or invisible. The bowl is genuinely useful. The deep pool is genuinely there, but its usefulness comes precisely from not being full, from not insisting on its own presence. The 4 actions, blunt, untie, soften, mingle, are not passive. They require something, but what they require is not force. They require a kind of patience with what is, a willingness to work through the grain of a situation rather than against it. And the final note, that this thing predates any lord, any highest authority, might be the most important. Laozi is saying that the Tao does not need to be legitimated by anything above it. It does not derive from power. If anything, power derives from it. To act in accordance with it is not to acquire authority. It is to stop needing it. Some passages in this text reward action. This one rewards sitting with the image of a vessel that never fills up, a deep pool that no one can see the bottom of, something that was there before whatever you thought was first. Chapter 5 moves from this image of the Tao's emptiness to how that emptiness might operate between heaven and earth.